Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the AEW Supreme Collection 3 Penta El Zero M figure from Jazwares. Jazwares has come a long way since that first couple of waves of Unrivaled, so the question is this truly the Supreme Penta? Well, let's talk about that. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this is easily the best Penta we have seen from Jazwares so far, and it should be because it's the Supreme Collection. So yeah, they just, a lot of new sculpt, a couple of reused pieces, I believe, because I believe this lower torso is reuse. I believe the upper thighs are reuse. Other than that, it's definitely new. Like, we got some new sculpt with the belt. And again, that is all sculpted, not just painted. Beautiful gold as well, like pretty much the perfect shade in my opinion. Not only that, but proportions are dead on. And I'm gonna bring the original Unrivaled we got, and they, even with the butterflies, they have kept the proportions. And honestly, that's something that Mattel seems to struggle with between the Ultimates and the Elites. And hats off to Jazwares for absolutely making that work. Like that's probably one of the best parts about Supreme, I think, is that they're able to keep that. And yeah, it just looks really good. The red, white, green, gold all just blend beautifully as they did in the original ring gear. And again, that gold pops. The only part where that becomes a problem is actually around the pecs, where as you can see, it's just not really a clean line. I don't know what happened here. I imagine that's not an easy line to do anyway. But yeah, just kind of a mess on mine, unfortunately, which is sad, but not the worst. It could definitely be worse. But everything else just looks fantastic about this figure. And let's talk about this redone head sculpt. Actually, going back to that first Unrivaled, and I just thought it looked kind of flat. There's kind of a lack of depth, mostly at the mouth, where it just kind of looks weird and cartoonish. And they saved it here. I mean, the tongue is a separate piece, kind of glued in there, and it just really just works really well. They finally have that depth that they kind of need for this head sculpt, and that's great. And of course you get the new touches here, especially on the mask with the more Mexican looking dragon. And yeah, just so good. Again, I love the metallics on this figure. Just everything so good. Again, we got the tampos with the tattoos, and yeah, just really good stuff. So aesthetics are definitely fantastic. Of course, we get a ton of accessories here, so let's jump right in. And right out of the box, we get our Zero Miedo hands. So both, obviously, the red and white gloves. Then we get a pair of just kind of standard C-rips. Then we get a pair of gloved fists. And finally, a pair of ungloved fists. And worth noting between these two that there's definitely a size difference between the gloved are definitely smaller, but I'm just pointing that out because it's definitely notable and kind of weird. But that doesn't bother me. But if that is a thing that kind of affects your view of the figure, definitely worth pointing out. Then we get into head sculpt. So we just looked at the tongue out face sculpt, which again, just excellent improvement over that first figure. Then we get the kind of yelling face. Once again, excellent detail. I like that they finally started adding some depth to these masked faces for the AEW figures. Just really well done here. And finally, we get the stoic, kind of straightforward face, and just all equally effective, and great details on the masks all around as well. Then speaking of apparel, we do get the entrance jackets. So we get the Lucha Brothers and Penta El Zero M on the back. And then of course we get these sleeves as well, just interchangeable arms, which is excellent. So you can see kind of puffy looking arms, and then the kind of cuffs right there. So there's that. Then we get this fantastic headpiece. So you can see all the feathers here are painted. So pretty excellent detail all around. They didn't really miss anything. This just looks great, just 100%. And as you can see, just really nice reds, greens, things that definitely popping all over the place. Fits snugly on the head. Cannot ask for more. Also, it's huge. So there is that. And then finally, we get the AEW tag title. And excellent details here. Pardon the lack, the kind of glare here is going to throw off my focus for a minute. But yeah, just excellent all around. Good details, nice shininess as well. And yeah, just a really good piece. So that's accessories. Articulation is another area where the Supreme Collection definitely excels, so let's break that down. As you can see, can hold our freestanding kick, no issues. This took like 2 seconds to get into, so fantastic there. For our head, we are on a ball hinge as we are before. We get some really nice up, we get some really nice down, and a little bit on the tilt as well. Not crazy tilt, but it's definitely there. Of course, rotation. Then we get the butterfly joints, and really nice here, actually. Like pretty much what I would hope for. Not overly generous, but definitely effective. I mean, the only one I've been unhappy with for Supreme so far has been the Malachi Black, and he's getting another one, so hopefully they fix that there. Then we come up with a hinge and swivel on the arms. We are in our Y pose pretty much. We have bicep swivel, double jointed arms folding in half. We have hinge and swivel all horizontal. Then we get ball joint in the diaphragm, ball joint in the waist. So our forward, we're actually not getting a ton of motion from that waist, unfortunately, but we are getting some really nice crunch. Definitely respectable. And then the arch back is nice as well. Just not really getting as much movement from that waist piece as I would hope. We're also getting a rotation from the diaphragm, not from the waist. So worth noting. Coming to the hips, full splits, absolutely beautiful. Our kick forward is pretty much 90. Then we get thigh swivel, double jointed knees coming up to here, very, very nice. We get boot swivel, actually, oh wow, I did not warm this up, so that's actually not moving. Let's try the right, there we go. We got boot swivel. We get very, very nice point. We get a little bit of forward, nothing crazy. We get some excellent rocker. And then finally, we get a toe pivot. So that's articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with some other Penta figures from both Jazwares and Boss Fight Studio. With some other AEW figures. With some other wrestling lines. With some Hasbro and some Mattel. With some imports. With some monsters. Finally, with articulated icons, Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valaverse Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the AEW Supreme 3 Penta El Zero M figure from Jazwares is that this is a great figure. It shows a marked improvement from where they started with the beginning of the Unrivaled line, and just that is fantastic. For me personally, it doesn't quite reach the heights that the Boss Fight Studio premium figure did, but that's a tall mountain to climb. Just putting that out there. That is one of my favorite figures of all time. However, I mean, this is everything I love about the Supreme Collection. It's Penta, my favorite wrestler of all time. So like, you know, I'm just happy to have this. And while I'm a little sad about the kind of messy paint around the pec area, everything else about this figure I think was done very, very well, and just is a great figure to have overall. So if you're a fan of Penta, AEW, etc., definitely pick this up. And right now it is available on ringsidecollectibles.com. And beyond that, I believe Jeremy from Jazwares said that a lot of AEW stuff, like multiple waves and such, we're going to be hitting retail starting in September, if I remember correctly. So you'll probably be seeing these on Targets and Walmarts. So definitely, if you're playing the long game, keep your eyes out. If you need it right now, head on over to Ringside. I'll have the link in the description below. And yeah, ultimately, I hope that you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining, because I'd like to see you back here. I do multiple reviews a week of action figures related to tokusatsu, dinosaurs, monsters, pro wrestling, of course, and more. So come on back, let's talk some more toys, let's just have some fun. Ultimately, I just hope that you are well. I hope that all of your toy dreams come true, and most importantly, I hope that you and yours stay weird, simians.